could also use an olive oil. Topic that we got a request for. I think it's always surprising. Thanks for the great questions, you guys. Thank you, Sandy. Looks good, doesn't it? I want to hear from you guys. This is the show for you. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's so good. So many wonderful people on tonight. Thank you guys for being here. Hi everyone, thank you for joining me in my kitchen tonight. You're watching another episode of Cook With Me TV, a live stream teaching kitchen hosted by registered dietitians, where we teach you how to better manage your blood sugar by cooking balanced meals. My name is Ashley Thomas, I'm a registered dietitian, and tonight we're cooking up a pasta dish, and I want to talk a little bit about how you can fit pasta into a healthy lifestyle if you have diabetes. I think pasta is one of those foods that we cross off of the list of things we think we can have, but I'm here to show you how you can incorporate it into a meal using smaller portion sizes and rounding it out with other foods from different food groups to help keep your blood sugar levels at a normal, healthy level. So thank you so much for joining, whoever is on right now. Hi, Kathleen. Good to see you. Hey, Lindsay. Thanks for tuning in. If y'all saw on the Instagram account, if you guys follow us on Instagram, I realized 20 minutes before the show that I only had about a quarter of a box of pasta left. And I actually need half of a pound, not just a quarter pound. So I had my husband run to the grocery store down the street, and he made it back just in time. So we're good on pasta and we're good to go. So let me know, first of all, if you do feel this way about pasta, if you feel like you can't have it, or if you feel like your blood sugar does spike when you do eat it. We're going to talk about some healthy substitutions or, healthier pasta options for you tonight. So leave me a comment, type in the chat if you have any concerns or questions about pasta. And with that said, we're going to go ahead and get the pasta started. So I've already filled up my pot here with water. I'm just going to turn it on to a high heat so we can bring it up to a boil, and then we're gonna pour our pasta in. We're gonna do half of a pound of pasta, so if you are cooking with me tonight, that's gonna be half of your box. Usually pasta comes in 1 pound boxes. This is the new pasta box. So we're gonna use half of this. And then also what we're gonna throw in here is some broccoli. We're gonna use frozen broccoli tonight. And we're gonna throw that in just before the pasta is finished cooking, but we'll talk about that when we get there. We cooked up a delicata squash on the show Monday, and if you're not familiar with the delicata squash, it looks like, well, kind of like this. It's a kind of an oblong shaped yellow squash with some orange stripes down the center, and we cut it in half and scooped out the seeds, did a little olive oil, a little bit of salt and pepper, very simple seasonings, and roasted it at 400 degrees. So we're going to use these guys in a sauce. We're going to blend it up with some quickly sauteed onions. We're going to throw in some white beans for some extra protein. We're going to use these white beans. This is going to keep that consistency very creamy while introducing some extra fiber and some protein. And then we're going to thin it out with a little bit of milk. So what we're going to do now is cut open our onion, and we're going to use this whole guy. It's a pretty small onion, so if you've got a large onion, you might want to just use half. This is just going to add some extra flavor to our sauce. Onion and garlic are considered aromatic, non-starchy vegetables, so always really delicious and healthy things to add to your meals when you're cooking. So, and I'm just going to give these a quick slice through. And then we're going to go ahead and get a saute pan. We'll use the cast iron here. Bring this up to heat. We'll put about a teaspoon of canola oil in here. Healthy fat here. Very good source of omega-3 fats. Fats that are good for our brain. They also help reduce inflammation in the body. And when we do have diabetes, we are in a state of inflammation. So it always helps to get some anti-inflammatory foods in. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and throw these in the pan, and we'll know once they start cooking because they're gonna they'll let us know. They'll sizzle. We're also going to add a little bit of rosemary in with these onions. Just a nice kind of floral spice. I think rosemary goes really well with roasted vegetables in particular. Katie, thanks for joining. Good to see you on. Oh, and thank you for tagging Carrie Ann. Wonderful. I think she tuned into one of our other shows the other day, so thank you for spreading the word. We're cooking up a broccoli pasta with squash sauce, and we currently have some onions sauteing. We're gonna just saute these down and then blend them up with our squash sauce, just to add a little extra flavor, some extra nutrition. Okay, so while those are doing that, let's go ahead and we're gonna scoop this squash right into our blender here. And I'm gonna see if I can give you a better view of this. Oh, now you get to see my Kiki. Hi, Kiki. So I'm just gonna take a spoon and scoop it out of the skin here. And actually, if you didn't watch the show on Monday when I cooked this and we ate this first, you can actually eat the skin of the delicata squash. It's super thin and it cooks up really nicely. I'm just avoiding putting it in here because I'm blending this up and I want to get everything as smooth and creamy as possible. And even having that little extra fibrous skin won't, you know, it will prevent us from getting a really smooth product. Okay, so in here we're gonna put our onions once they're done. We're also gonna throw, like I said, 1 cup of white beans. So I'm using these cannellini beans. These are one of my favorite white beans because they're just so creamy. We're gonna do 1 cup of those. And so this is gonna introduce some plant-based protein and some additional fiber. These do have carbohydrates in them, but like I said, they're packed with fiber and protein. All right, and then we're gonna add 1/2 cup of milk. You can use any kind of milk that you have, regular cow's milk. You can do a soy milk or an almond milk. I will say, you know, if you are using an almond milk, a lot of times they don't have very much protein in them. It's usually like 1 gram of protein per cup. So if you're trying to use the milk as a way to add protein, your almond milk won't really do that for you. Soy milk will. Soy milk has about 8 or 9 grams per cup. So we are getting quite a bit of protein from this milk. But if you are using one of these dairy alternatives, make sure you get the unsweetened, unflavored kind, because it's gonna, you don't want to add any of that funky vanilla flavor into your squash sauce. Hi, Bev Galloway. Oh, Jessica says, I want a fur baby so bad. I'm sorry. If I could give you a fur baby, I would. If I could hand out fur babies like Oprah hands out gifts, I would do it in a heartbeat. I don't have that kind of power yet. Speaking of fur babies, she has to go outside, so 1 second. Okay, so we have our beans, our squash, our milk. Let's go ahead and add these onions in here. I just turned them off. And I'm gonna let those cool off for just a second. And we're gonna go ahead and add this pasta into the water real quick. So again, we're using a whole wheat pasta. This is a fusilli pasta. Use any kind of pasta that you like, penne, bow ties, whatever. The point being here though is that you get a whole wheat variety. So I know and I hear from a lot of people that they don't like the whole wheat because 1, it takes a little bit longer to cook, and 2, it is more dense and chewy and just not as delicious as regular white pasta. I will also say you can get used to the taste of whole wheat pasta, and if you're trying to manage your blood sugar, this is going to be a healthier choice for you because it's got more fiber and more protein, and we know that those two nutrients slows the rate of absorption into the body, which doesn't allow your sugar to spike as high. And I will say you can kind of ease your way into enjoying whole wheat pasta. You could do half and half, half white, half wheat, and do that for a little while, and then slowly kind of transition yourself into eating 100% whole wheat. Jessica, are you diabetic as well? I am not diabetic. I'm a registered dietitian, and I have worked with people that have diabetes in the past, and I currently do as well in my private practice, and this whole show is specifically for people with diabetes. So I'm happy to answer any of your questions. Bev, have you ever seen whole wheat lasagna noodles? I have not, and I've looked because I've been wanting to make lasagna specifically with those, but I haven't found any. Does anybody else know if those are out there? So half a pound. Give this a quick stir. Woo. Put the lid back on and let this cook. Oh, Jessica, yay, so glad I found you. I'm so glad too. Thanks for joining. Like I said, I'm here every Monday and Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern time cooking. And then we also have Lindsay McCoy, who is on right now, and she's also a dietitian who has a show specifically for people with diabetes. And she does a lunchtime show on Tuesday and Thursday at 12:30 p.m. Eastern time. And if you scroll up to the very top of the comments, there's a link there with the newsletter. If you sign up for that newsletter, we'll send you our newsletter every Friday, and it gives you what the cooking class schedule is every week, as well as the recipes that go along with it, just to keep you updated with what we're doing every week. And if you're interested, we'd love for you to cook along with us. That's why it's called Cook With Me TV. So if you get the ingredient list ahead of time in your email, you can go to the grocery store, get your ingredients, and then tune into our live show and cook along with us on the show to kind of just get you in the kitchen, practicing your cooking skills and really understanding how to eat well with diabetes. Oh, Lindsay buys whole grain lasagna noodles. Hodgson Mills. Okay. I'm gonna have to look for that. Did you see that comment, Bev Galloway? Hodgson Mills. We're gonna have to pin that comment so people know. Lindsay's chiming in, plus another benefit to whole grains. Large epidemiology studies showing that whole grain consumption is correlated to better body composition and smaller waist circumference. Look at that, whole grains is where it's at, y'all. A lot of the research alluding to that is based on, this idea that fiber and protein make us feel satisfied. They help to prevent us from overeating at mealtime, one, but also prevent us from snacking on things after our meal because we don't feel satisfied. So they satisfy us. All right, so while this pasta is cooking, let's go ahead and blend our sauce up. So we've got everything in here, and we may need to thin it out a little bit with some extra milk. You could also use some pasta water, or you could even use a chicken stock just to introduce a little bit more flavor. I would recommend doing a low sodium chicken stock though. Give it a little taste. Oh yeah. Oh, that's so good. That's delicious. So if you're going to Michigan, does that mean we don't get to have lunch when I'm in Charleston Monday? No, I'm coming back on Saturday. I've already got you on my schedule, girl. Okay, let's check this pasta. So you can always tell that the whole wheat pasta plumps up a lot when it gets almost cooked. And I can already tell by looking at it that it's almost done. So at this point, when your pasta is almost done, that's when we're going to throw in our broccoli. And so like I said, tonight we're doing frozen broccoli. You can do fresh if you want. We're doing frozen though. Frozen is always healthy to have on hand, for many reasons. Of course, you don't have to worry about it spoiling, but also frozen produce is typically picked when it's at its peak, and then it's frozen, which locks in all of that nutrition. So a lot of times frozen vegetables and fruits are more nutritious than the fresh produce that you can buy at your grocery store, because if you think about the fresh stuff, it takes time to, it spends time sitting on a truck traveling to where it needs to go, and each day that it spends doing that, it's losing nutrition. So a lot of times your frozen is a lot more nutritious because of that. So these are 12-ounce bags. And I'm going to pour in 1.5 of these bags. And so you'll see that we're getting a pretty good ratio of non-starchy vegetable to complex carbohydrate or wholesome carbohydrate, which is going to help balance out the total number of carbohydrates in this meal. And so you're just going to cook this part just a couple of minutes to let that broccoli thaw, and then you just drain all of this together. And you could add more broccoli if you wanted to. You can always do that. It's your non-starchy vegetable for tonight. And you can also add, other non-starchy vegetables. You could do cauliflower, you could do spinach, kale, carrots, any of those. Jessica says, weird, I always thought it was the opposite, that it had less nutrients. Yeah, that's why I always talk about it, because I think we're kind of almost trained to think that fresh is better, because we always talk about eating fresh fruits and vegetables, but a lot of times the frozen is more nutritious. And it's so much easier, and a lot of times it's more affordable too to buy, and it doesn't go bad. It's great. It's perfect. All right, so I'm going to turn this heat off because this is done, and I'm going to get my strainer in the sink so we can drain all of this. And then we're going to return it right back to this same pot so we can toss it with the sauce. Wonderful. And you'll see here, we've got a pretty good ratio. We've got about a 50-50, a 1-to-1 ratio of broccoli to pasta. And that's kind of what we're looking for when we're doing pasta dishes. All right, and then we're going to pour the squash sauce in. Now, the squash sauce is still pretty cold. So we're going to turn this stove right back on just for a couple of, I don't know, maybe a minute, and just kind of reheat everything through. Mix it all together. Oh, it looks so creamy and delicious. And so this is another sauce option too. I do hear from people that eating with diabetes, they kind of get into a rut of eating the same things all of the time because they can trust it. They know that it's not gonna spike their blood sugar. It's kind of tried and true type of meal, but over time you get kind of, tired of eating the same old things. So this is a new way to kind of switch that up. All right, grabbing my bowl here, and I'm gonna get my measuring cup. I always like how Lindsay talks about using measuring utensils. So I feel like this is probably one of the reasons why people don't like to cook because they have to get out their measuring cups and their measuring spoons and they feel like it's just too much work. However, use your measuring cups and spoons for a short period of time, maybe a few weeks, maybe a few months, to get the hang of, eyeballing portion sizes and understanding what 1 cup of something looks like or what 1/3 of a cup of something looks like. Then you won't have to use them all of the time. But for a short period of time, it's good to practice with them and get to know what certain amounts of things look like, and then you won't need to use them anymore. Hi, Linda. Hey, Michelle. Good to see you both. Thank you for joining. We're dishing up everything right now. So this is our broccoli pasta. And Michelle, you would like this because it's not a red sauce. It is a squash sauce. So I'm scooping out 2 cups here of all of this wonderful mixture. Got a little broccoli there. And again, you can always add more broccoli or non-starchy vegetable to this to round it out. And I am going to top it with a little bit of Parmesan cheese because, you know, pasta and cheese. Oh, Linda, don't apologize. Oh, you've been crafting. What have you been crafting? For those of you who don't know Linda, she's been watching our shows since like January. She's pretty awesome. She does a lot of crafting. She's got her own room set up for it. Yum. And there we have it. Our delicious broccoli pasta with squash sauce. I'm gonna give it a little taste here and let you know how it is. And it's 7:36, by the way. Take off 6 minutes for me talking, chatting you up, and you can get this meal on the table in under 30 minutes. The squash sauce is so good. It's so creamy. This is good. The broccoli still has a little bit of a kind of bite to it, which gives you a little texture difference from the soft pasta. And then of course the cheese is just delicious. It adds just a touch more, a little bit of salt, which is good. Helps to bring out the flavor of everything else. It's delicious, y'all. All right, well, thank you all so much for joining me in my kitchen tonight, and I will see y'all next week. Have a great weekend.
PeoriaLife.com